My name is Barry Mehler, and I teach history at First State University, and I'm the director of the Institute for the Study of Academic Racism. Basically, the institute, I created the institute in the 1990s, and we monitor academic racists. We're not so much interested in Klansmen who drive trucks and have tattoos on their arms. We're interested in PhDs who are arguing, for example, that on average African Americans are less intelligent than white Americans. Academic racism, that's the focus of my work. And we are currently focused on the immigration movement, because the anti-immigration movement is the leading edge of the white nationalist movement in the United States today. Well, the beginnings of the modern white nationalist movement is in the eugenics movement of the 1920s, where in the United States there was an anti-immigration movement to stop the immigration from Eastern and Southern Europe, primarily Jews and Catholics who were coming into the United States by the millions at the time. The anti-immigration movement at that time was an explicitly anti-Semitic, explicitly white supremacist movement. For example, this is a bestseller from the 1920s. This is Lothrop Stoddard's The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Supremacy. So it's very explicit that the concern was, after World War I, that white world supremacy was in jeopardy by immigration. And in 1924, they were successful in transforming American immigration law and cutting off the United States as a refuge, for example, for Jews fleeing the increasingly hostile conditions of Europe. That is the origins of this, and the modern anti-immigration movement really flows out of that early movement.
And could you say something about then how this modern anti-immigration movement has sort of manifests itself, particularly as it looks at when you look at Michigan?
Well, it's interestingly, the fact is that Michigan is at the center of the anti-immigration movement in the United States today. And you have to understand that the movement to restrict immigration, legal immigration and illegal immigration, is a white nationalist movement. The concern is for the white control of the United States. The bestseller of the movement today, which is sold right here in Michigan by the Social Contract Press in Petoskey, Michigan, is The Camp of the Saints. And in this early printing of it, it says, the subtitle is The Chilling Novel About the End of the White World, which harks back to Lothrop Stoddard's The Rising Tide of Color. The concern is the rising tide of color, the rising tide of Mexican immigration that's going to overwhelm the United States and bring Catholics into the United States, and Mexicans who are irredentists, who are going to divide the United States and take over Mexico and California. The center of that movement, interestingly enough, is not Mexico, is not California or Texas, it's Michigan. Here in Michigan, we have an organization called the Social Contract Press, which was started by a man named John Tanton, who established all three of the major anti-immigration organizations in the United States. And the Social Contract Journal is edited by Wayne Lutton. And Wayne Lutton is a man who started his career as Charles Lutton. His name is Wayne Charles Lutton. So early on, as Charles Lutton, he was on the advisory board of an organization that denied the Holocaust. And he portrayed the Germans as defending civilization and the Allies as barbarians. And he went from that to campaign against AIDS in the 1980s, late 80s. He wrote an essay saying that AIDS had the potential to exterminate the human race within 50 years. And he advocated closing down gay rights organizations, gay bars, gay bookstores, gay meeting places. And he went from there to the anti-immigration movement, where John Tanton picked him up and brought him here to Michigan, where he now edits the Social Contract. So there is a direct link between the old anti-Semitic, white racist, white supremacist anti-immigration movement and today's white nationalist anti-immigration movement, and it's centered here in Michigan. The people who are working to liberalize American immigration law and our attitudes need to understand that the opposition is a white nationalist opposition. And sometimes that's confusing because right now the white nationalist anti-immigration movement is reaching out to Jews and to blacks in order to bring them in to an umbrella a movement that would oppose immigration which threatens their interests. So it appears that they're trying to build a coalition. It's very important for those of us who are trying to build a multiracial, multi-ethnic, tolerant society to understand that the thrust of the anti-immigration movement is a white nationalist movement. Because when people understand that, it clarifies for them what's really going on, what the two sides are about. Because the anti-immigration people are going to argue that all they want is law and order and justice and etc. And they're going to say, you know, we are appealing to Jews and we're appealing to African Americans, we're even appealing to Hispanic Americans. This is an issue that cuts across all divides. But the fact is that the movement was begun as a white nationalist movement, and it remains a white nationalist movement. The fact is that Wayne Charles Luton began his career as a Holocaust denier and anti-Semite, so that we're talking about somebody who sees the Nazi state as the defenders of civilization. And once you see that, then it clarifies what the struggle is about.